Hi, everyone. It's Erica from In the Company of Cards. Welcome. If you're new, welcome back if you've been here for a while. Please do like, share, subscribe. We are growing. Uh, Sooner we get to the next magic number, the sooner I can do some more free readings for you. Speaking of which, I have loved reading for you when you have contacted me about doing a private reading, and it's been really fun to get to know some of you in person that way. Again, I am booked into June, but you know, so get in touch if you'd like a reading. Uh, so a few things. I feel like this might be a long video, so just, settle in. I have viewers who tell me that it's their evening entertainment that they sit with their significant other and they put me on the big screen after dinner and watch like they're watching a movie. I love that. That's adorable. So, this will be one of those videos, I think. So, uh, a couple of, well, all of these questions, everything I talk about today will be viewer questions. So I want to say first something about my video yesterday. A lot of you could tell I was shaken and stirred by the subject of, 1960s style segregation re-emerging here. And you were all just really um, warm and kind and equally indignant. And I appreciate all of that. And it really made me understand that while I come here for you to show you how Lenormand works, for example, to show you how magic can function in our lives, in real sort of concrete ways. I come here to talk about race and politics and culture and to just help us navigate these difficult times. I didn't realize the degree to which when I try to feed you, your responses feed me. So I really appreciate you all. I'm just so grateful to have you here with me. Um, so a couple of particular things, and then I will launch into actual issues. So one viewer informed me, I mean, they came at it from a very informed position, that I am actually white, they said, because my father is white and that's how it goes. Well, let me school this person and the rest of you. That is not how it goes. Um, I am, as you can tell from the white in my hair, a person of a certain age. What I am not going to do is be Barack Obama and prove to you by holding up my birth certificate anything, but I will tell you this. I am old enough so that on my birth certificate, and I was born in Chicago, where it says race, it does not say white. It does not say black. What it says is Negro. Now, for those of you who don't know, and probably if you're from overseas, you won't know this, there's a thing that, quiet as it's kept, we'll call it that, quiet as it's kept, is a thing. And it's called the one drop rule. So for my viewer who was just sure as they could be that because my father was white, I am white, if my parentage had been flipped, even had my mother been white and my father been black, I would still be considered black. I am black because of the one drop rule. The one drop rule says if you are at all discernibly related to somebody black, you're black. In other words, even if have straight blonde hair and white skin and blue eyes, if we know that you have a great, great, great grandfather who's black, you are considered black. That was what the rule was. And Black people didn't make up that rule, by the way. What I will say, though, is that I embrace the fact that I'm Black. I don't know whether this reader, a watcher, viewer, sorry, was, saying to me in sort of a consolation kind of way, you're actually white. No, I'm Black. I'm happy to be Black. And my birth certificate says Negro. So there you go. All right. Another question that is sort of a general one that I thought I would get out of the way was I've had more than one viewer ask me this question. They'll say, when will this all end? When will this all end? Now, a couple of things. First of all, cards, anybody's cards. I don't care whose they are. I don't care if it's runes on cards. I don't care if it's tarot. I don't care if it's Lenormand. I don't care if it's playing cards. Um, these divination tools are notoriously terrible at timing. And I've given this reason before for that, but I'm going to explain it again. The Greeks have two words for time. The words are chronos, Chronos, and kairos, Kairos. They both mean time, but different kinds of time. So chronos is the time that you and I talk about and live by. Time on the clock, time on the watch, time on the calendar. That's chronos. And when people are asking, when will this end? They are talking about chronos. Like they would love me to be able to, shuffle the cards, pull them, and give a date certain. A date, preferably an hour on the clock, when all this will end. Cards are not good at that. Cards deal with kairos, and kairos is the fullness of time. You know that expression that my mother used to say when I would ask a question above my pay grade when I was a little girl? She'd say, "Oh, you'll know in the fullness of time." And I knew that that meant not today and not next week. And so I took it to mean, oh, well, when I'm a big lady, I'll know. But I now understand, of course, that in the fullness of time may not even be when I'm a big lady, because now I am a big lady, and there's still some things that are unanswerable. So, um, it comes from a real, a sort of an interesting worldview to be able to ask the question, when will this end? I would recommend that you think back to, I don't know, take my mother's line, right? Her mother and her mother and her mother. My great grandmother was a slave. So, and that slave had a mother who was a slave. And that slave had a mother who was a slave. So, you know, we have an understanding of the fullness of time that is different from chronos, time on the watch, time on the calendar, time on the clock, right? There are all Black people here, most Black people in this country, if they're Black Americans, have ancestors who went their entire lives and then had children who went through their entire lives enslaved with no date certain of when it was going to end. So I think it's important to get over this idea that there will be a date certain when this will end. And as I mentioned in my video yesterday, here's what I said. I said, we are promised the war, not the win. And I do what I do and say what I say because I'm doing it for whoever comes after me. I would love to tell you that in a year, in 6 months, in 4 years, that this will be a bad dream. But I can't say that. It'll be over when enough of us decide that it should be over. And we are not anywhere near that point yet because some people are still not even aware of what's going on. Which is why I said yesterday, I may not live to see the other side of this. I hope I do. I hope I do. And I live in hope and I work from that place, but I'm not going to give up the fight because, the end of the battle is not next week at 2:30 in the afternoon on a Sunday. So please stop asking, when will this end? I've had people say, I can't take it anymore. Well, what's your alternative? You have several. You can ignore things, depending on who you are. Um, or you can, you know, engage in this struggle. I think the struggle's worth it, but I can't give you an answer as to when this will end. Okay, so now on to the specifics. I'm going to start with a couple of Canadian questions because, I am just, well, horrified, disgusted, embarrassed um, by 47's stance towards Canada. I will say, and I've said it before, I think that Canadians have been as kind and generous as they've always been. They'll say things like, we know it's not the American people. We know that this is Trump and his government. And I mean, again, quiet as it's kept, let me remind everyone, somebody elected this government. Uh, and a lot of them were Americans. I'm not saying that there wasn't foreign interference. Obviously, there was. But what I am saying is that, you know, I don't see great hordes of people in the streets waiting to storm the Bastille. I think that will happen. I think that will come, but it hasn't happened yet. So, we have a lot to answer for. Whether we voted for him, whether we stayed at home, uh, we have a lot to answer for. But anyway, this was an interesting Canadian question. So the question was whether 47 will be specifically targeting Canadians when it comes to, trying to come in and out of the country, our country. So, and they asked whether non-white Canadians would be treated differently from white Canadians. So let me say a few things. First of all of us, I don't care who you are, all of us need to read up on current proper protocol for traveling. No matter what kind of passport you have, American, Canadian, or otherwise, no matter if you are a green card holder or not, there are certain things that we all need to be conscious of. So one of those things is that your paperwork, to the extent that you can have it be in order if you're traveling, needs to be in order, because if it's not in order, he will decide he can send you wherever he wants to send you. And I mean, I think this is for Americans as well. Now they're saying not only should we have a passport, but we should have a birth certificate on us. I'll bring the one that calls me Negro because that's the only one I've got. They're also saying leave your phone at home because they can unlock it with facial recognition if you've got facial recognition on your phone. So if you want to bring your phone, maybe you don't want to maybe you want to get rid of that facial recognition thing. They might ask you to put in your code to open the phone. You don't have to do that. But if you don't do that, they're going to take that, they're going to hold that against you. This is everyone, not just Canadians. As for the question, and if you have a laptop, you might want to leave it at home. With the phone, they're saying, common wisdom is leave your phone at home too. And obviously you need a phone when you travel, right? Buy a burner phone. Can you believe that I'm even saying that? But that is the instruction. Get a burner phone because then there's nothing on there that they can go back and look at. Like, for example, if I gave them, I don't know, my phone and they opened up my YouTube and they saw everything that I'm saying here, they might look at me a little cross-eyed. Again, my paperwork is in order, But if he wanted to find some trumped up thing to say because of the way that I look, right, which is not white, you know, he could do that. Not that 47 is interested in me, but people follow his lead. And TSA is not going to be an exception to that. Now, the question of whether I thought this was kind of a cute question. Um, uh, would would non-white Canadians be treated differently from white Canadians? Let me just say this. Non-white everybody is always treated differently from white people. So if you are a non-white Canadian, um, should you take special precautions? Yeah, just like you should if you're a non-white American. This is open season on all of us. So there you go. Um, yeah. So bring a burner phone, have your paperwork in order, leave your laptop at home. And if you are a person of color, expect to be more thoroughly searched than other people. I have that happen to me all the time. One time I was going through the airport and they, did whatever, and then did the pat down thing, and then went through my hair. I had dreadlocks back then, and they were a lot bigger, longer. And you know what? It just I don't know. I guess I don't know what they were looking for. They thought I had something in my hair, and I thought, I could really be getting nasty right now because these people are. I mean, this is abusive. But instead, you know what I said? I said, you might want to tell those people behind me that they might as well just get comfortable because I'm really enjoying this. I'm thinking of it as a scalp massage, and it kind of broke the ice, and the TSA person laughed and let me go. But to be manhandled like you're an animal, I have had that happen more than once in a U.S. airport. So if you are of color, be prepared. It is open season on us. If you look any kind of way but white, um, hmm, you know, caveat emptor, buyer beware. I'm just saying. Okay, another question about Canada. So, obviously, Mark Carney is the new prime minister. Justin Trudeau is not the prime minister anymore. He has stepped down. Mark Carney won over Chrystia Freeland. And so he is now the prime minister. And it's kind of like an interim sort of situation because he is the one in charge of calling for the next election. So there is talk that he will, as early as Sunday, um, call for an election to take place in April. And the question is, will he in fact do that? Will there be the general election in April, and what will be the result? Now, I've read about this quite a bit, quite frequently. And we know that his chief opponent, Carney's, is Poilievre. And we know that Poilievre is conservative. I have had Canadians tell me that I'm wrong, that he's not a Trumper. But I mean, from all indications, you know, from my objective observation and from other Canadians, he seems pretty Trumpy to me. Now, of course, he's trying now to sound like a Canadian patriot and says Canada first, which is what a Canadian patriot should say. But prior to 47's ugliness about wanting to make Canada the US's 51st state, can't even believe I said that. Um, Well, prior to that, Poilievre was all in uh, Trumpy. So because now Trump has taken this stance against Canada, the tide in Canada has turned. And what looked like it was going to be a rout for Poilievre months ago looks like it may well be a rout, a cakewalk, a shoe-in situation for Carney. So I think what I'm going to do is we'll just assume, because, we'll just assume that if not Sunday, someday soon, Carney will announce when the election, general election will be. And what I'm going to do is what I've done before. I'm going to pull 3 cards for Carney and 3 cards for Poilievre. There may well be other people on the ballot, but I don't think that they are players. I don't think they. I mean, I think that the contest is between Carney and Poilievre. And so I want to look and see which one will win, Carney or Poilievre. Okay. Thank you so much, all of you, for asking questions. I appreciate it. I've got a whole page full of questions here, viewer questions. Okay, so I'm just going to pull 3 cards. I'll pull 3 cards for Carney and 3 cards for Poilievre. Okay, interesting cards. So for Carney, we have the woman, the bear, and the crossroads. Now, on the face of it, these are kind of neutral, I would say, if anything, cards. Um, I suspect that Carney will get a large section of the women's vote. We know that he understands, for example, how finance works. And with all this tariff stuff, you're going to want somebody who understands how to go toe to toe with 47 and his nonsense. And so I think Carney is somebody who could go toe to toe with him. And, this card makes me feel as though Carney will get a cross section of support from a variety of places. That's what I think. The thing is, with Poilievre, I can't say that these cards are neutral. I think it's very clear. We have the bouquet. That sounds great. It's like, the gift, the reward. So this is a very positive card. However, the other 2 cards are the coffin and the mice. These are very negative cards in this particular case. Poilievre, I think, will have, I think Carney will, as they say, sweep the floor with Poilievre. That's what I think. I mean, I think it would be considered a patriotic thing to not vote Poilievre. And again, there may be Canadians who come for me and say I'm wrong. Okay, but I'm just going by what the cards say. The cards say that a wider swath of Canadians will vote for Carney than will vote for Poilievre for the reasons that I have given. So there you go. Okay, this I thought was a really interesting question, and I don't even think I'm necessarily going to pull cards on it, but I did want to speak to the question because when I ask you to give me questions, um, since I'm this teacher, not trying to teach, but I can't help it. There are ways to ask questions, and there are ways to ask questions. So this was how are 47's supporters feeling about things? Well, things. And 47's supporters, let me just say this. He's still, I mean, why is he even on the boards with support? Like, why is he not in negative numbers in terms of polling? So somebody still likes him. And those would be the people who voted for him. However, as we have seen, you don't need cards for this. As things start to trickle down and all of his cruel ripping apart and shredding and Doge just stomping over everything, as it starts to impact people in their real lived context, we will see increased buyer's remorse. We have seen increased buyer's remorse. It's not enough. So when people say, how long is this going to go on? The fact that it's not enough, that people are not storming the Bastille yet, tells you that there are still enough of his supporters who are perfectly happy with what he's doing. They will continue to be perfectly happy about what he's doing until it starts to affect them and their families and their own personal bottom line. But we are not there yet. We are not there in terms of Chronos time. We're not there in terms of Kairos time. We are not there yet. When I said there will be pain, there will be pain. There has been pain, but there will have to be more pain. So there are people who again feel buyer's remorse, and there are others who are gung-ho all the way about what he's doing. So there you go. Okay, in line with that, this was the next question. When, again, that's that Chronos Kairos question, when will the Republican Party take a stand against 47 in Project 2025? Oh, sweetheart, whoever asked that question didn't get the memo. The Republicans that you're referring to, the ones who, will take a stand against 47 and Project 2025, those are not Republicans. Those are called now rhinos, Republicans in name only. The Republican Party is owned lock, stock, and barrel by 47 and Musk and Project 2025. All of these new things that you're seeing being implemented, they are from the playbook of Project 2025. And the Republican Party, I don't know who you think is in this Republican Party, but they are all in. They are all in. Just like Kamala and Biden are not going to rush in here on white horses and save anybody, neither is this mythical Republican Party that does not exist anymore. The Republican Party it's MAGA, it's Trump, it's the oligarchs. So, what you're asking to come in and save you doesn't exist. So the question is, never, never. The Republican Party will never take a stand against 47. Listen, now he's attacking the courts. People either agree with him or probably equally the thing, they're afraid of him. They're afraid of him. So no one will stand up to him from the Republican Party. Look, you don't even have Democrats willing to stand up to him. So who are these mythical Republican Party members that you think are going to stand up? It's not going to happen. So it's not even worth looking at the cards. It's not going to happen. Okay. The next question. Okay, another one. So this is a question on election interference, and what they called it was the election interference reveal, right? So there are a lot of people who still think that, it's just a matter of time before, I don't know, Biden, Harris, NATO and the ICC, which is the International Criminal Court, come out with that's Mark Rutte's, NATO and International Criminal Court, um, come out and say, here is our evidence for why we believe that the election was interfered with, was stolen. That 47 is not the rightful president, it is actually Kamala Harris. So people, just as they're holding out hope for Biden and Harris, they're holding out hope for NATO and the ICC. So the question was, will NATO and the ICC, which again is the International Criminal Court, play significant roles in any election interference reveal? Well, the first assumption is that there will be a reveal. And I'm going to say, if there is a reveal, that's where it would come from, NATO and the ICC. So why don't we just distill the question down to what the viewer is really asking, which is, will there be an intellectual, no, that's not what I meant to say. Will there be an election interference reveal soon, coming to us courtesy of NATO and the International Criminal Court? Will there be a reveal? Now, I think you know what I'm going to use for this? I'm going to use Clover. And why? Clover is like a reveal, like surprise. And I will say that there's something fanciful about Clover, because I also think there's something fanciful about this theory that there will be this deus ex machina, God out of a machine, you know, Dark Brandon and Kamala on their white horses, Mark Rutte and Jack Smith and the whole cavalry doing this reveal, and 47 being, shackled and taken to Guantanamo. It's not going to happen. But anyway, that's my opinion. I'm going to ask the cards if there will be this reveal. So we're going to use the Clover for this big aha surprise. Okay. So let's see if there is one. Listen, I have had opinions about things before. You've seen this happen. And then the cards say something different. I am always clear when I'm talking about from my opinion and when I'm telling you what the cards have to say. So now you know what I think. Let's see what the cards have to say about this reveal that will come to us again, courtesy of the International Criminal Court and NATO. And we're going to use Clover. Sorry. Deep in the deck, but that just means I have to flip a lot of cards. That doesn't mean, anything in terms of the answer. So this will be a an election interference reveal. Okay. I'm going to pull maybe a clarifier on each card. Okay, so our original cards are the house, the ring, this is the reveal, the ship, and the crossroads. Now, and I drew one clarifier for each of these cards. I mean, I'm going to say that this is for, the White House and who's in the White House, et cetera. And I think that they will not be removed due to any reveal. I don't think. This is them just, same old, same old, same old. We are going to go through this pain until we as a nation and a world decide we're over it. We're done with it. And that's not going to be anytime soon. So that he will continue to do his dirt. Um, and then we have the ship and the crossroads. So, you know, moving forward, uh, this is not a straight line, right? Where, at the end of the line, he's taken out in handcuffs. I don't think it's gonna have, I don't think it's gonna go like that. Things will go a different way from this fantasy that everyone has. I mean, I've had the fantasy as well, but I got over it. You know, I broke the fever. Um, so I can look at mirroring. I think that this White House situation that we've got going on, will be dismantled a different way than what we think. I think that um, rather than it being, that he leaves office because of election interference, it'll be because of what he's doing now. He's just laying brick on top of brick on top of brick on top of himself. Um, he will not serve a full term, I don't think, but it's not going to be election interference that brings him down. Um, okay, and then I drew clarifiers for each of the cards. So in fact, yeah, I do think that this house or this regime, because that's a good thing to call it, right? This regime will be stopped. I do think it will be stopped. Fountain stopped. There's an obstacle. Um, Now we have this ring. Clarifier for it is the bouquet. I'm going to say that I want to put a good spin on this. I mean, I like the bouquet and I like the ring. They're good cards. And I think that the union, we'll call it, will be um, listen, as hard as all of this is, as painful as it is, as unceasing as it is, there is a gift in it. The gift may only be that it serves as a bucket of cold water to wake people up. To me, that's a gift. Now, Clover, uh, how did I put this? Yeah, this would be an election interference reveal. Well, wouldn't we all love that? Wouldn't we all love that? It's more aspirational than actual. Now, the ship, I will say, again, as I said earlier, when I showed you the house clarified by the mountain, I do think that this regime will be stopped dead in its tracks. And here is another example of that. Here it is. Here's this ship of state doing its dirt, moving farther, farther, farther in its path you know, towards unrolling Project 2025 on us, and then it gets cut. So I don't think that this is going to be because of election interference reveal. I think it will be because of the current things that are going on now. We'll stop this ship dead in its tracks, cut it down. And then we have the crossroads. And the clarifier is the cross. I do think that this administration will meet a bad end. But again, I don't think that it's because of an election interference reveal. We would all love that to happen. But again, like Biden in historic glasses and Kamala on a white horse, that's not how it's going to happen. We would love that fairy tale ending. Just like my viewers who would love a date certain for when all this nightmare will be over. We would love that, but that's not going to happen. That said, we will choose to go another way and stop this administration in its tracks. You know, um, again, what he's doing with the courts could be a bridge too far, or, or if the courts capitulate, then we'll just storm the Bastille. That's all. One way or the other, this will not stand. This center cannot hold. I cannot tell you when. I will say I don't think he will be in power 4 years from now. I don't think he'll be in power 2 years from now. By the way, nor do I think that Vance is his absolute successor, because nobody likes Vance except the Project 2025 people. And even they don't love the fact that whatever they thought he would bring in terms of a charm offensive has not proved to be charming. So they may be even having buyer's remorse about him. But this will not, trouble don't last always. This will not last forever. I do not see a 4-year run of this administration, but I do not think it will be brought down courtesy of any election interference reveal. So, yeah. Um, let's see. Uh, this next question, will Social Security checks go out for April? Remember that the objective with Social Security is to make uh, make Social Security seem as an institution to be inept. So how are they doing this? Well, it's kind of a two-step process. One is eliminate tons of jobs at Social Security. Two, require people who need help on the phone from Social Security to instead go into an actual Social Security understaffed by design office. This will, of course, create chaos. And then the next thing that will happen is that the administration will say, see, we told you it was inefficient. We told you it was no good. So you know what we're going to do? We'll privatize it. Okay, we don't want that. We don't want that to happen. But this is the systematic approach. Now, in the short run, of course, what everybody's worried about is, will they get their check in April? So let's look at that. Will Social Security checks go out in April? And I think I'm going to use fish because fish is money. So the fish will stand for April's Social Security checks. Okay, so we'll just look and see what's around the fish. Okay. Okay, we're looking for fish, and that will stand for April's Social Security checks. And I'm old enough, I get one too. So, you know, I want to know as much as the next one. Am I going to get my Social Security check for April? So this will stand for April's Social Security checks. Sorry, to turn the heater off, and then I'll pull three over here. I mean, I know this should have just been a nice, quick um, yes, no, but I don't do that often. Okay, so the cards we have are the older woman, clouds, Social Security checks for April, a younger woman, and birds. Okay, so older people, this stands for all older people, are really worried and concerned and confused, both about whether their checks will come in April and how are they supposed to get to the Social Security office if they can't walk, they're blind in one eye, can't see out the other, their hearing aid doesn't work. I mean, how are they, this is on purpose. It's to make people um, have doubts about the efficacy and the efficiency of the Social Security system. That's the goal, right? Is to get people offside, get people saying, "Oh yeah, they suck," by making them suck, by decreasing the staff and requiring people to go to a physical place. So it's all meant to confuse and alarm and get people not liking the Social Security office. Here's our checks for April, and this is saying, I think we'll get them. I think that they will come because I think that their dismantling plan is much longer reaching. It's farther reaching than just us not getting our checks in April. Um, there's a lot of talk, there's a lot of buzz, a lot of conversation, especially among older people. And we're not, older people are not the only ones who get Social Security, but amongst older people, there's a lot of conversation. This is what they want. They want us to think that the Social Security Administration is antiquated, inefficient, and that privatization is the best way to go. That's what they want us to think. Okay. So let's go back to older people. Older people. Oh, the young man and children. I heard Vance. He was talking to some group and they were grilling him about Social Security. And he said, "Well, I don't get it. What's it to you? Don't you all have jobs?" Here's the thing. So these are people who have paid into the system their whole lives. Nobody's trying to get something for nothing. That person, Musk, loves to call Social Security an entitlement. Entitlement implies that you're getting something that you don't deserve, that you assume that you deserve it, but really you don't. And that's not true. I don't know about you, but they took money out of my check every year for my entire working life. That's why I'm getting Social Security. So older people have paid into it. Younger people are also paying into it. Now, granted, there are things that are problematic about the system because the question is, you see this order of descending age, right? You've got the older people here, this is younger people, and then these are babies, children. Will there be, and there's zillions of people like me who are baby boomers. It's a huge population. Therefore, will there be money in the system when it's time for these little ones to collect? That's the question. How do we make it a more efficient system? Okay. The second card, clouds. Remember, they're trying to cast doubt on whether Social Security is a good thing, and they're telling us that it's not. Uh, and so the clarifiers are the sun, the scales, and the lily. I really like this a lot. So this gets morphed into clarity. We see what they're trying to do, we see what they're all about. And what will happen in the end is that a fairer system will be created once they have destroyed the old one And I think that people will be happy with it. Whether it's connected to I mean, Americans hate the word socialism. It's like a knee-jerk reaction from the Cold War, and communism. Ugh. But socialized medicine should be a thing. Social services for people who have put in their time to make society run should be a thing. And I do think we'll come out in the end with a more equitable system. But again, the question was about April's Social Security checks, which is this: clarifiers, tree, mountain, garden. I think that for some people, they'll be late. And I say that because of the tree and the mountain. For some people, they will be late. And of course, if your check is late, what they want you to say is, oh, they're right. Look at that, how inefficient the system is. They have made the system inefficient. Was your check late before? No. Why all of a sudden is your check late? Oh, maybe because they fired so many people, right? So yeah, your check could be late, but I do think it'll come. Then we have this young woman as our fourth card. We have the anchor, the mice, and the star. Again, they want young people to say, I don't know, I'm afraid that that safety net's not going to be there for me in the future. So yeah, Trump, what can you come up with that's better, that's fair? Maybe privatization is the way to go. That's what they want young people to think. And then the final card, our fifth card, is birds. Clarifiers are the moon, the house, and the bouquet. There's going to be a lot of conversation about what happens to Social Security moving forward. Um, what does it say about a society that does not take care of its ill and its aged? What does that say about a society? Reputation here. And I think in the end, we will choose to be on the side of our better angels. But again, by that time, this administration will be gone. There will be pain between now and when they're gone. So yeah, your checks could be late. Yeah, you'll have to go to a physical place if you have a question or you need to prove your identity or whatever it is at the Social Security office. It will be wildly inconvenient and it will cause a lot of stress. That's the intention, but trouble don't last always. And in the end, I drew the postscript. We have the heart, the rider, and the ship. And I think Social Security will be restructured, not privatized, but restructured in a way that is better than what we've got. So short-term pain for long-term gain. Um, but don't buy that line about how privatization will make it better, because that's a lie. And just meant to make people money, you know, like privatizing jails, like, well, like all the things he wants to privatize. Okay, so yeah, your check could be late with that mountain and tree card there, right under the money card. It may be late, but it's going to come. And people will have to be accommodating. Um, everybody's going to be in the same boat. So just keep your powder dry. Let's see what's next. Oh, this is a good one. Will the Supreme Court revisit their decision to give a president essentially total immunity? Now, they knew what they were doing, and they did it special for him, 47. I read something yesterday by a very good lawyer, one of the pundits on TV, but he's a very good attorney and has had a lot of experience with the Supreme Court, has argued before them many times. And he talked about uh, Chief Justice Roberts, and he said there are two Justice Roberts. There's the one who believes in upholding the law and believes in the Constitution and all of that, the rest of it. And then there is the other John Roberts who believes in the agenda of the Republican Party. Now, as per the earlier question, the agenda of the Republican Party, as the Republican Party is currently constituted, is the agenda of Project 2025. So, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, even though they were in the same body, had a lot of trouble coexisting. And I think that for John Roberts, it's the same issue. You can't how do you hold two diametrically opposite points of view? Something is going to have to win out. And so, the hope, of course, is that they see how, um, well, I'm just going to say how badly 47 is abusing the power that they gave him. Will that move Roberts and Comey Barrett, by the way, to sort of relook at that? Uh, you know, Theoretically, 47 has this power now. What if this power were in the hands of a Democrat, which, by the way, it was, and why Biden didn't use it? We'll just leave that alone. Um, but let's see. I'm going to use, let's see, what do I want to use? Let's use the birds for the court because they are a group of people and they meet and they talk and they they decide stuff. I mean, that's the birds card for conversations. I'm sure they are having conversations amongst themselves about this. What will they? Well, maybe I don't want to use birds. You know what? Let's use the scythe. The scythe is the card for decision. What decision will the court make about this total immunity thing that they did? Will they revisit it? So we're looking for the scythe, and I am charging the scythe with the energy of uh, the decision about total immunity. Okay. It surprises me. But I got ready to pick up the deck and start putting the cards down. But I always check the bottom of the deck in case the card that I'm looking for is there. So I always check. And yet, for whatever reason, I'm always like, oh, there it is. So there it is. So this decision card, because it's at the end of the deck, will be the last card that I pull. And then I will pull four cards in front of it and pay attention to whatever that center card is, because that will be important. Okay. So, okay. I don't think I need to pull 10,000 cards to answer this question. So the question was, would the Supreme Court revisit this stupid thing that they did, which is to give 47 total immunity to do whatever he wants? And he's doing whatever he wants. So we have mice, we have child, we have garden. Garden is our center card. So I'll get to that in a minute. We have the cross and we have the scythe. Okay, let me tell you, they are really nervous about this guy. And they know that it is a direct result of the decision that they made. I don't know what they thought he was going to do, but they are peeing themselves. Sorry, you two, but they are. They are. The Supreme Court is like, "Ugh, what did we do?" Second card, child. They're going to have to do something new. And they're going to have to do something new because of the pain this guy is causing. Now, they might not care about that except for the center card. They have to care about it because the people care about it. The courts only work if people agree to go by their decisions. 47 himself is saying, yeah, to the court. This is what we used to do in Jersey. I'm sure that's a universal symbol. I don't care what the court says. I am the president. I have total immunity, and you guys gave it to me. So there will be a Bastille-like response on the part of the people that will cause the court to say, oh my God, now we're really scared. And we're going to have to do something new to end this because this guy's out of control. So, yeah, I do think that they will revisit it. I absolutely do think they will revisit it. Okay. Few more. So this will be, like I said, think of this as like you're watching a movie. Watch it in chunks. Sorry, it's long, but okay. Somebody asked about the Denmark Greenland situation. I mean, again, I do think that 47 is in cahoots with Putin in a lot of ways, not least of which is this Greenland situation. I think that Russia has as much interest in controlling the waterways up there and the minerals. Greenland's got a lot of natural resources, and a lot of it is just virgin, untouched. Um, so the question was, what's going to happen? Will it lead to European war with Russia? Will 47, together with Russia, try to take over Greenland? Um, I'm going to use, let's see, what do I want to use for Greenland? I'm going to use, because they have so many natural resources, I'm going to use the mountain. And again, this is Denmark trying to defend it, and this is speaks to the the wildness of Greenland, the unspoiled nature of Greenland. So this will stand for Greenland. I'm going to stick it back in the deck, shuffle, and really shuffle and see what's going to happen with Greenland. Again, for those of you who thought that 47 was going to be the president who was going to end the forever wars, really? Because pretty sure looks like he's trying to get us into some forever wars between his stance with Canada and Greenland and Panama, and so many other things I can mention. He's just, okay, well, anyway, Greenland. So we're looking for the mountain that will stand for, the natural resources, the minerals, um, the wilderness of Greenland, and it will stand for Denmark trying to keep keep its territory. Okay. So again, we're looking for the mountain. I'm hoping I can just do 5 cards. I think this will be the last question. I'll come on tomorrow and look at some more. Ooh, okay. This is going to be a hot spot. I hate to say it, but it is. We have the tower, we have the sun, we have the mountain, which is Greenland, we have the mice, and we have the snake. So this is not good. I do think it will be a hot spot. Um, this is governments causing trouble. I think Russian and American being on the same side here, trying to strong arm Greenland and Denmark. Yes, very clear that they're trying to intimidate and scare them. So will this be again another hot spot in the world? Cold as it is up there? Yes. Yes. I told you there's going to be a lot more pain before we get to the other side of this. Greenland will be part of that. As an American, I apologize to the world. I really do. This is just horrific. All right. Um, sorry to leave it on that note, but I let me say again, thank you all for your kindness to me yesterday. I felt like you were all holding my hand um, as I watched back the video. You are a discerning bunch, so you saw that even though I was smiling and using my ASMR voice, talking about segregation, raising its ugly head here in such an obvious way was disturbing for me. And I know it was for you as well. Thank you so much for all these great questions, and we've got some more tomorrow. Attach some to this video as well, and I will look at those. I don't think I'm going to do a Sunday conversation this Sunday, but if I have enough questions, I'll look at those as well. I'll do some tomorrow, and then if I get more, I'll do some on Sunday as well. But thank you, thank you, thank you. I feel like we're all holding each other's hands through all of this. If you think there are people who would find this useful, educational, a comfort and a guide and a support, please do share my work with them. I remind you again to go to Substack. It's not part of YouTube. It's a separate thing, so just put it in a search engine. I write on Substack once a week on Wednesdays. It's also called In the Company of Cards, and there I use Lenormand and I use tarot, and I also use an African oracle called the Adinkra, and I write an essay, and people seem to appreciate them. And so if you like good reading material as well as good YouTube videos, I'm over there as well. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all your support. I feel the love. There is an imposter out there. I think I got rid of them, but you can kind of tell because there's things they say things like text me at such and such and such and such number and we can talk further. That's not me. So I appreciate though when you tell me that you see someone trying to impersonate me. And I appreciate that you report it and block it. And as soon as I see it, I bibbity bobbity boo them and then they're gone. They can think that they're doing it, but it doesn't go anywhere. So I guess this is the price of minor YouTube fame. And it's just something that we will keep an eye on. But thank you for letting me know about that imposter. And I will see you tomorrow to answer some more of these questions. Please do put more in the chat, and I'll try to answer them. Okay, take care.